So we got another M4a1 here. This is in safer colors, definitely by USA standards. So hopefully it's going to have the same performance that we've seen with some of the other M4s, just in a color combination that some of you may find more appealing because you think it's a safer option, and it probably is because it doesn't look as real. So this is from the brand G-SHOTOY. If you recall, I showed you their HK416, which was an awesome blaster, one of the best, if not the best, on Amazon. It's definitely in the top two. And now this is the M4a1 that they're selling. It appears to be basically just a very similar version of the other M4s, A1s that we've seen on Amazon, of the better quality ones. So hopefully it performs like that too. We'll see when we test it out. So this is everything that's included in the box. So it comes with a nice box too, which we're seeing more and more kind of branding of these, and you see that right here as well. So let's talk about everything that comes with it. Safety glasses, of course, right? Some sort of eye protection is important, so make sure you're doing that. A couple packs of gel beads here, two 10,000 packs. So remember, you don't have to use a whole pack at once. They just get all over, so make sure you store them in like a Ziploc or something, just so they don't make a mess. And when you're soaking those, of course, my tips and tricks are give them plenty of time, plenty of space, plenty of water, and that's how you're going to make sure you get them to 7 to 8 millimeters. So make sure your container's large enough, make sure you're using an ample amount of water, give them 4 to 6 hours. At that point, there should be room left over in that container, and there should be water left over, because no one guesses perfect on the water. Just drain off that water and go ahead and store them in airtight containers for up to 2 weeks. As long as there's room left over and water left over, you can be ensured they grew to 7 to 8 millimeters, because they can't grow too big, okay? So we've got that taken care of. Of course, you're going to load those into a magazine. This is kind of the standard M4a1 magazine we've seen before. It's just in white. Load them in here. You can see it's electronic or motorized. There's a little motor down here. When you're done playing, make sure you empty it completely, open it up, shake it out, even push that button, clear out that feed tube, and store it separate from the blaster. Don't store it plugged into the blaster. If you can, leave it open so it dries out, since there's electronics and a motor in there. So even all the brands, all the models, any that are magazine fed, there's going to be a couple gel balls left in the magazine, most likely when you're done playing. So just make sure you get them out. Okay, we got your battery here, 7.4 volt, 1200 mAh battery, and your charger. So the white side charges, right? Plug this into an AC adapter, 1 amp or greater. And then your black 2-pin JST type connection is what's going to plug into the blaster. And that'll be stored inside the buffer tube. So let's look at that. You can see that they give nice steel, like the reinforced cables, which is nice. And even an inline fuse, it appears, which is something new that we haven't seen thus far. So we're going to put that through the buffer tube here. And then click this, push this on. So it has to line up a couple notches, line up with a couple grooves, push it on, lock it in place. This buffer tube is pretty tight when it comes to taking it off, and there's not really any big benefit in removing it. So I'd just leave it on once you put it on, unless you're changing that out, putting a different type of buffer tube, a different type of stock on there. So most of the time I tell you guys, put your battery in first and then plug in the harness, so the harness is right at that end. However, that inline fuse takes up some space in there, which makes that not work as well, because then you have these wires sticking out of this end of the buffer tube and they kind of get caught on the stock. So in this case, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and plug this in and then put the wires in first. So typically I don't say that, but in this case, I think that is the best solution. So just kind of push it in, and it's not going to go in all the way, but that's okay. There's room inside the stock for the stock to still slide on all the way. So just pull the trigger down there on that stock, and then you're just going to push it on. See, so it can still get on all the way. Now we can test it. So it's got automatic, and then essentially safety is what you're going to get with the M4s. Okay. If we have the magazine in here, you can pull back the charging handle, And you can hear that priming the magazine also flips the dust cover. All right, so that's a good, it's important to prime that magazine before you start shooting, because really what you're doing is you're just running the motor in the magazine so that it's filling that feed tube with gel balls. Last, we got the barrel to put on here. You can see this is spring loaded. If this piece does come out, just kind of line it back up, push it back in. Just line that up there. And again, this has similar to how the buffer tube went on. A couple notches, couple grooves that need to line up, snap it in place. And again, you can leave that on at that point. They give you the standard M4a1 optic, lights up. There's a little tab to pull right there, typically, to activate the battery. And this can just slide on the top. And you can slide it on in either direction. I've seen it mounted both ways. Let's be honest, guys, these are just for cosmetics, so do whatever you like when it comes to your attachments for your rails and stuff. Okay, so it's all set up and ready to go. It's the G-SHOTOY M4a1. Excited to shoot it and see what kind of FPS we're actually going to see with it. Please comment, like, subscribe, share this channel with your friends, and participate in all the giveaways. Planning on doing 2 per month for the summer of 2022, and there should be a big one coming up for July 4th. Hopefully this video is published before then. If not, I hope you won.